Okay, so boom. You finally realize the power of emails and owning your own data. So you create a newsletter and get a landing page fired up. You send out your first email and bloop, it's in the promotions folder. Unless you're an e-commerce company, I'm sorry to tell you, but the promotion folder is not going to help you. This is why you should get ConvertKit. ConvertKit specializes in keeping your email in the primary folder so you can increase your open rates and communicate with your audience. They also have beautifully designed landing pages and squeeze pages for you to capture more emails. I personally love the fact that they have good support. Support from you is everything. If I have a problem, I need to know I can get someone on the line or have a video that answers all of my questions. Hustlers don't give up. They say, yo, let me figure this out. I figured it out with ConvertKit. Now let's start the show. Hello and welcome to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where you receive stories, tips, and strategies from entrepreneurs who've done it to help you grow your business and take yourself to the next level as a person. And on the podcast today, we have Darine BenAmara. She is a personal brand strategist for women to help you create a better digital presence. You can find her on LinkedIn at Darine BenAmara. Man, this is honestly like such a good podcast. I'm really excited for it,
The
man.
energy was so good. Like all we needed was some beverages to take it to the next level, man. Like some wine or something. It was one of those like loungy type of conversations.
Without a doubt. And like her story was so impactful, man. Like,
Mhm.
man, I don't want to ruin it for y'all. So make sure you tune in. We're gonna have timestamps around, so make sure you can tune into each part of the podcast. But yeah, it was a great podcast. I'm excited to share that with y'all, bro. How you doing, bro? How's your New Year's Eve? Your Christmas? Actually, no, we talked about Christmas, but like, how was your New Year's Eve? How was your holidays? Holidays are now over.
Man, holidays are over. I think today is like one of those days like you're hopping out of the. I think when we listen to this on Monday, holiday mood is still gonna be lingering. You know, when you kind of come off vacation and like you've kind of unpacked stuff and things are kind of still like they need to be placed back. I'm kind of in that stage right now, but just a 1-2 couple pants and sweaters need to be placed back in. But overall, bro, it was honestly a blessing. This is one of the best holidays I've ever had. Um, One, because first I was with my family, we exchanged gifts, food was amazing, drinks were hitting, basketball, you're watching ball, you're there chopping up with your aunties and uncles and everything, my sisters, my cousins, my friends and family. New Year's are the same thing. Like one thing about me, bro, I love spending New Year's with my parents, more than anything. Like a lot of people, yo, come for New Year's. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just toast in the New Year with my family and see my mom, see my pops, and it's, yo, I love you guys. Thank you so much for whatever, because you're seeing a new day, a new year. And spent it at my uncle's in London. We toasted, we ate good, man. And honestly, man, I'm coming back to Toronto feeling full and like I'm blessed, man. You feel me?
100%, 100%. I know you
Yeah.
got beer leftovers in the fridge.
Oh my God, yo, like beef, chicken, rice,
I hear
like
you.
cabbage.
Real quick, like, what makes you want to spend New Year's with your parents? Like, that's actually a rare thing. When someone says that, I'm like, huh? So elaborate on that
So
real quick.
I live in Toronto. My parents live in Sarnia, and I'll see them like in a year over a 12-month period. I'll probably see them like maybe 8 times. And holidays and New Year's historically, even when I was a kid, I used to like, celebrate it with my mom and like, we used to like I remember like one particular one, welcoming in the new millennium, 99. I was about 5 years old, like coming into 2000. And we had a membership at this sports club, Parkland Sports Club, and it was a ball, bro. We're like having like the little fiery sticks and whatever. But I just remember like being with my parents and being with my mom and dad, like and just having fun. And they're not really like my mom and dad, like they're like my friends. You feel me? So like my dad sees me as like one of like his boys, like my mom sees me as just like a buddy. So when I'm with them, like she's cracking jokes. Like my dad is like like when he's like, drinking and everything. He's funny. Got my sisters, they're hilarious too. So I'm a family guy. So welcoming like a new year with your family, like your people, even like your relationship transcends your family circle thing. Like it's just like I love that. And when I'm with new people, I'm just like, yo, like, yeah, man, I love you guys. I'll rate you guys later, but let me spend this time with my mom, my dad, and my sisters and cousins and aunties and uncles. But that's for me, bro. I don't know how other people do it, but I never look at that opportunity to be like, oh, yo, let me go link up with whatever. I first look into them, and then I'm like, okay, let's
I
chill.
appreciate that, man. A family man.
Family man, bro.
I hear that, bro. I hear that.
How's yours? How's your New Year's, man? I remember I called you, bro. I was just like, yo, Alex, man, we're
Yo,
better than
yo,
Rogan.
Owen gave me the funniest call, man. All right, so real quick, I'll try to keep it short, and we can get into the business tip. Uh, we had a few people over, and then this is like another black couple. You feel me?
You don't want
Some really
to, you're on COVID police. You don't want to rat yourself out to
exactly,
COVID police be.
exactly. No, no, no. We kept it very, very, very low key. Only two people over the spot, and we had like a little games night. Toasted up to the new year, and then in mid, what was it, Scrabble we were playing? I think it was Scrabble. I get a call, and I'm like, "Oh, and what's good?" And this guy is lit. You know what I'm saying? Lit like big. And talking about, yo, before I get too wasted at 11:30. This is how you know you're a real friend, bro. At 11:30, you give me a call saying, yo, before I get wasted, Happy New Year. You know what I'm saying? And I had to appreciate that. So kudos to you for that, fam. But yeah, mine was very chill. I was happy, to say some positive affirmations going into the new year. And really just spend it with people that are just like you in the same kind of predicament, trying to push themselves forward. So yeah, man, it was a great New Year's. I can't even lie. Very low key, had some really good food. Man, so I was just really happy, and we could see like the fireworks from my condo, so that made it even more like special. I love fireworks. I always did growing up. So it was dope to be able to just like be in my inside warm and be able to look out my balcony and see fireworks.
Yeah, man.
So it was dope. It was a good vibe. And I'm happy to go balls to the wall for 2021, bro.
2021, bro, sounds like a futuristic year. When you think about 2021, like,
yeah,
what the hell?
It's a tongue twister.
Yeah, like, and then you're like 2029, bro. Imagine 2039 or 2031. Like, holy crap, man.
Yes, sir. But with that said, Leo, let's hop into the business tip of the week.
Yes. First business tip of the week of 2021, bro.
Yes. All right, y'all. So right now with COVID-19 happening, we want to make our businesses be able to be found online. And one thing that a lot of people sleep on is geotagging. One thing I've slept on myself as well is geotagging. So I actually came across this tidbit online I want to share with y'all real quick. Is you can easily geotag your photos. So when someone searches a photo on Google, or you not searches a photo, but searches search terms for a specific problem or a solution, your photos can come up. So I found this website that actually allows you to geotag photos for free, and it's called GeoImager, which is spelled GeoImgr.com, which allows you to geotag your photos. So you can have specific photos on maps and on Google when someone's typing in, let's say, New Weave or something like that. I don't know, but this as an example, it makes it easier for local SEO and field inspection for Google. So it'll help you both from a website perspective and from a people finding perspective. So the real simple, real quick, geotag your photos and help people find you. Help people find yourself. And that's it, y'all. Yeah, that wraps my business tip of the week.
That's what's up, bro. One in the books, bro. How many podcasts we got coming this year? 52?
Exactly.
So
one a week.
One a week, man. 51 more tips to go, man.
You feel me?
But guys, we're back in the booth. Well, not really. I'm back in my in my house recording in here. I wish I was in the studio booth, but it is what it is. But you know who's back in the building? Mr. Hustle Muscle, ready to give you the Hustle Nation tip of the week. So one thing that we're coming into a new year and we're looking at our businesses and how we can change them. And one thing we need to think about is strategy. So, what strategy are you implementing in your business to really get ahead? What are you looking to do to position yourself to win this year, to win big? Not just to get ahead, to move to a different level to where you were last year in 2020. And I've broken down 4 strategies that you can implement this coming year. I was reading the Harvard Business Review, and I found this very interesting and how we can really position our businesses to become winning businesses, profitable, moving, like where you actually have a solid base that you can build off moving forward. And the 4 strategies that I came up from reading this case study is: one, there's an intellectual property strategy; two, disruption strategy; three, the value chain approach; and then the last one is the architectural strategy. So, to quickly go over these strategies, one, intellectual property strategy. What this does is you collaborate with other companies and retain control of your product and technology. So your product, your business is focused on idea generation and development. So it's avoiding the downstream of customer facing activities. A great example of this will be Dolby surround sound. So a lot of you are probably seeing that Dolby logo on your Bose speakers or Sony speakers. And Dolby has had they've been leaders in the market for the past 60 years since they started. So this is an example of intellectual property strategy. You can take your business, lease this company, lease your technology to other businesses where you allow them to use what you're using and still maintaining your position in the market. The second one is the disruption strategy. So this involves the decision to compete directly with incumbents. So it's emphasizing the idea and rapid growth of market share rather than control of the idea's development. So this is where we're at right now in this era: disruption. Everybody AI, whatever you want to call it. How are you disrupting your market? How are you disrupting things that are old and introducing the new? A great example of this legendary example is Netflix. You already know how Blockbuster went down, and Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix, but they didn't. Netflix came over, they disrupted with the CDs where you can rent CDs and return them. And eventually, they introduced a streaming platform, which is what we're using today to watch our movies and shows. So, how could you be a disruptor in your market? What can you do to really change the game in your field, in your niche? What are you doing right now to do that? So, take this in as a disruption strategy. What can you do to really overcome the competitive war? And how can you put yourself in the front line where you can acquire more customers? Third strategy is the value chain approach. So this is more your startup is investing in the commercialization and day to day of competitive strength rather than controlling the new product and erecting entry barriers. So an example of this is Foxconn. So Foxconn makes Apple products. They're the ones who make it and introduce it to the market, and they do this at scale and really fast. Second option is grocery delivery companies, the ones who actually get you to the your food to your door. They're the ones who are the value chain approach. They're not really focused on building a new grocery store. They're building on systems that allow businesses to really deliver their value towards their customers. How can you implement a value chain approach to your business? This is something to think about. And the last one, which I found very interesting, which is like one of the toughest ones to implement, is the architectural strategy. So this strategy allows you to compete and maintain control. So it's out of reach for many because it's so risky and it takes a lot of time to implement. So this is like more of like the Googles and Facebooks. So these type of companies, they design an entirely new value chain and they control the key bottlenecks in it. So Google, Facebook, search engines existed before Google. Social media control existed before Facebook, but these companies, they brought what they're building to mass market through careful alignment of customer, technology, and identity choices. So once you build this out, you control everything within it. So for Google, we have Gmail, we have Google Drive, we have Google Docs, we have whatever uh, Google Sheets, everything that's happening within Google, they control that whole ecosystem and we're trapped in it. Facebook, we have Instagram, we have WhatsApp, we have Oculus, we have all these different apps and tools that we use every day because Facebook controls that whole architecture that we are in it. We can't run away from it because it's everywhere. So to wrap this up, think about your strategy. What do you want to implement? How do you want to position yourself to compete in your market? Choose the one that's best for you. And to go over again, these four strategies are intellectual property strategy, disruption, value chain approach, and architectural strategy. Think about this as we go into 2021. Your strategy is what's going to allow you to get ahead. Everybody's building businesses, but it's all about strategy, and business is war. And strategy is what gets you ahead of that war and allows you to become a champion and a leader in your space. So that's the Hustle Nation tip of the week. Happy New Year's to everybody. Can't wait to see what you guys build. And we're super excited to go along with you in this journey of the Hustle Over Everything podcast.
Word. I have one thing to add on that real quick. One thing that I found that was really interesting is having a ecosystem with a low barrier entry product. Like for instance, SodaStream is an ecosystem, but a lot of people don't realize that. And the barrier to entry is the SodaStream machine, but the actual business is based off of getting the cans over and over and over again. Another example is Vanity Planet for women. The machine cost is usually 70% off, 70% off. And that's like the influencer promotion that they do so people can really get into it. But the actual brushes is where the business is because people have to keep on buying the brushes over and over and over and over again.
Man.
So just wanted to quickly mention that. I thought that was an interesting, way of having people get into your ecosystem. Low barrier of entry, but continuing purchases over time. So you get your money back tenfold.
Even to add more to that, even an espresso machine. Like I have an espresso machine here at my place, and I have to buy the pods because the coffee is so good, and the cost of each pod is way cheaper than going to Starbucks or whatever for high quality coffee. So I'm stuck in that ecosystem. I'm buying their cups, I'm buying their tools, like everything, and it's exclusive. I feel like I'm part of a club. And actually, subscribe to the Underrated newsletter. I wrote an article about how Nespresso has built a great strategy and how they revive their brand. So subscribe to that. But yeah, man, strategy is key.
Without a doubt. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's hop into the housekeeping items and into our podcast with Darine BenAmara. Hey, what's up, guys? To support the show for free, here are some main options. If you're on Apple, make sure you rate and write a review of our podcast. This makes a huge difference and helps support the show. If you're on Spotify, follow us. If you're on Google Play, hit subscribe and auto-download so you'll be notified and have a fresh pod ready to go when we drop. Lastly, make sure you share the podcast on Instagram or whichever social platform you use and tag us. On Twitter, we're at 24/7 Hustlers. On Instagram, we're at 24/7 Hustler. And on Facebook, we're Hustle Over Everything. And now, guys, you gotta pay attention to this point. We just dropped a new newsletter. It's called The Underrated. It's a weekly newsletter that breaks down untold stories that highlight game-changing business strategies that shape our sports, music, and culture. It drops once a week on Mondays, early in the morning, to prep you for the week. So subscribe to that, and we'll see you in the pod. Darine, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic.
You're fantastic. I'm blessed. Very excited. Holidays are around the corner. But going to the weekend, and then for me, I'm on vacation now.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to my parents' house in Sarnia. I don't know if you know where Sarnia is, Doreen. Do you know where that is?
No.
Southwestern Ontario, like past London a little bit. It's a small town with 100K people. It's really nice. Yeah, border with the States, with Michigan.
I'm sure it's nice. You know what? I have never been that far, so I'm sure it's beautiful.
It is.
You're originally from Paris?
So from France, not from Paris, but from France, yes.
From France, awesome. So I would love to hear your origin story because you're originally from France and migrated to the US and ended up at the White House. Could you give us like a quick 2 to 3 minute, story of how that happened?
Yeah, so I like to introduce myself as a living proof that when you believe in yourself, you are unstoppable. I was born and raised in the poorest city of France. I was raised by a single mom. Growing up, I had 3 meals a day. My mom didn't. So it was kind of challenging, but I always knew, this inner voice, I always knew that I was meant to be something bigger. I could create something bigger for myself, for my life, for my family. And so I went to school, went to university. My parents did even go to high school. They stopped in, elementary school. So it was something, I was the first of many things in my family. And then I moved to Canada. I was ready to build my Canadian dreams, left everything behind and working, believing in myself, networking, very important, especially for immigrants out there who are listening or watching your shows. When we come to North America, we hear about networking, but we don't know what it is about and how to do it. And then I understood at some point, I had a haha moment that I had to be strategic about the relationships that I build with people. And so from, one thing to another, I started a blog, Easy Poly Consulting, that does not longer exist. And I wanted to share, more. I wanted to discuss and share, my passion about politics, women in politics and leadership. And this is how I got selected as one of the 100 young global leaders and entrepreneurs for a program at the White House. And from there, among the 100 people, one person got a job offer. It was me. And this is how I ended up working for one of Barack Obama's advisors.
Wow.
How did you feel when you first found out that you were chosen, and what was your experience like?
So actually, it's like I knew my time has come. So everything that I was doing since I was very young, a little girl, when this guy came to me and said, listen, I like this and this and that, and I want you on my team, I was like, this is it. The time has come for me, finally. It took me 10 years. It was 10 years in the making. But yeah, it was like, it was a relief that all the sacrifices that I had made finally were not in vain.
You talk about having the feeling of greatness within you as
Yeah.
you're coming up. I'm sure all of us have had this feeling is, you're destined for great things.
Yeah.
When you were like thinking back then as as a young woman, what were the thoughts that you were having? Were they aligned with business? Were they in politics? Which lane did you see yourself going into when you were closing your eyes at night and you're thinking big things? What was that imagination like?
I always thought that I would have a career in politics. I didn't know I would have a career in business, but life happens. But from a very young age, when my girlfriends would go out, have fun, or they were studying, dating boyfriends, I would just go home and watch political debates. So I was kind of the weirdo, growing up, but I knew I believed in it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And like in the White House, what were your day-to-day roles that you were doing?
So I wasn't working inside the White House, right? Because basically very few people, have access to it. So I was working with one of the advisors working there. So, but my job, actually, my role was mainly to focus on building relationships and facilitating, business and political relationships between the US and West Africa. So actually, I was based in West Africa.
Wow. What country?
Senegal.
Amazing. Amazing. And you were recently out there in this year, right?
Yeah, so I was on a business trip back to Senegal. It's a country that is very close to my heart. I like being there. So I was there, like exploring potential business opportunities, expansion. And then, so it was in February, and right there, like COVID-19 happened. So I had planned to stay there for 6 weeks, and I ended up staying there for 7 months.
Wow.
For 7 months. Imagine, like, Alex, that's like us going to I mean, I grew up in Africa, so I've been all over, so I know how it's like. But imagine just going to another country and then being trapped in there when you
Yeah.
weren't even expecting it.
Uh-huh. That was something, because I had packed for a couple of weeks. So it was a business trip. So I didn't pack a lot with me, as I would eventually pack if I were going on vacation. So it was really business oriented. And then I find myself in a place where I had to reinvent myself and to basically build a new life, because I couldn't stay there, just wait for something to happen. The borders were closed, the airports were closed. I couldn't come back to Canada. I couldn't take care of my business here. So I had to reinvent myself. And, I do believe that when you have your back against the wall, this is when you discover how, how strong or how powerful, or, how resourceful you can be.
Most definitely. So what did you end up doing? Break it down for us.
Yeah, so basically, while I was there, my business in Canada collapsed. And there was nothing that I could do from there. So I was like, okay, you know what? This is happening in Canada. I can't control this. So let's focus on what I can do, what I can control right now. And I was kind of on a survival mode, because I didn't plan on staying there. Even though I knew Senegal before, but I didn't plan to stay there. So I had to find a location. I had to find, somewhere to stay, and build new habits. And I decided to build a new business there. So I was, okay, while I cannot take care of my business in Canada, let's try to build up something here, since I will be around for a couple of months. And that's what I did.
Before talking about like your business you created in Senegal, what was that business here in Toronto?
So the Smart Woman Enterprises actually is a coaching business when I work with women leaders on helping them to promote themselves effectively through networking strategy and branding strategies. So that's a topic that is close to my heart. I spent the past 10 years of my life and of my career working with women all over the world. I worked in 10 different countries, always building programs for women's capacity building. And I decided that it was enough. I had gathered enough experience and working with high level politicians and businessmen back in time when I was in Senegal. I was like, okay, I understood why we women, we were left behind in so many ways. So I decided to gather all this knowledge and to start a business so I could share as much as I can to empower other women leaders out there. So it was a coaching business. My business model was really based on in-person trainings. I love people. I'm a people's person. So everything that I would do, I would meet people. So I would host conferences. I would host conferences, workshops, and so on and so on. And that I was doing good. I was doing very
You're
good.
crushing it. I mean, I saw your posts everywhere on LinkedIn. People were talking about it. You're thriving. I will give you that for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. There is a lot of work and effort behind, but there is also, and most importantly, strategy. That's where my main focus is when I work with women leaders, is that we are good collaborators, we are good at building relationships, but we are not good enough when it comes to building a plan and building strategies around what we want to achieve, like in a professional or business world. So this, I practice what I preach. This is it. I practice what I preach. So everything that I do, there is a strong strategy behind. And my goal is listen, watch me. If it works for me, if I can do it, you can do it too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And let's get into the business of having a coaching business, or the business model and the inputs and outputs. So I'm guessing the business model is more of a one-on-one coaching. And did you find yourself charging more for the strategy behind it? Was it on the person to person, or were you charging a corporation for the coaching? How did you price yourself?
So I do a mix of both, B2C and B2B.
Okay.
I think it's important, to be able to diversify your source of revenue, especially when you are a new entrepreneur. Whatever the industry you're in, if I wanted to focus only on B2C, that would have been difficult for me when I started out, because, you got to build the momentum, you got to spread the word out. And then, it takes about 70 times for people to interact with your content before they make a purchase decision. So while you are building this momentum, you need to generate some money, right? So that's where the B2B actually come together, where you can just like pitch companies, sign up contract, and generate some revenue while you are building your momentum and while you're building your brand, basically.
That's it's so true. And like going to approach a company versus going to approach a person, how would you price yourself in that manner? Because a lot of times, of course, you price yourself more, but how do you quantify it usually? Is there a metric that you would use? That's one thing that I'm finding myself with the agency. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to price, even with us as well. When we're coming to brand deals as well, we're like, all right, so how are we going to price ourselves
Sponsorships,
versus
yeah.
for a corporation versus a smaller business?
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what your answer is there.
So first of all, my process actually, I started by making a lot of mistakes. I was pricing myself way, way too low, in a sense that it was not sustainable. But it's hard to put a price on your expertise. It's hard to put a price on your service. So then I surrounded myself with mentors, with business leaders who are like 10 years ahead of me, and who provided me tips and so on, and how to do it. And actually, I think like being an entrepreneur and pricing yourself and mastering your business and implementing processes is an ongoing process. So I don't have a magic formula, but to give you an example and to be honest with you, I have started this month working with a business coach to help me price better my services. So it's still something that I'm working on. And every time I raise the bar a little bit higher, I realize that, okay, so people are buying, and, but I also notice that I'm attracting a different type of crowd. So my audience is evolving as I'm increasing my pricing. So that's something that I have noticed for myself. And also something that is important when pricing yourself is you want to be consistent with your branding, with what you do and the service you provide, in a sense that I target women leaders, right? And the image and the brand that I have built around myself and my business is polished, is, professional, it's high end. So I cannot position myself as a coach for women leaders and then price my services or product $19. It wouldn't make sense. And people would like have doubt about the quality of the services that I can provide them.
Yeah, that's a fact. There's definitely a price quality
Yeah.
mindset when it comes to pricing stuff for a coaching business. I completely agree. That's great, man. So now that business, essentially crumbles because of COVID-19, and you're forced to reinvent yourself in Senegal. So let's
Yeah.
talk about it. What was the reinvention? And even outside of business, I'm curious to see like how'd you maneuver from being a traveler to being a person, like a resident,
A resident, yeah.
and operating as a resident, like keeping on business. Did you start paying tax there, and did you start do you have to register your business in Senegal? And what's the difference between registering internationally versus registering in Canada? Like, I'd love to get more details there as well.
So actually, and thank you for this question, because there is a lot of myth around doing business in Africa. So actually, a lot of countries now, African countries, have put together systems that allows you to register a business quickly, and the way you would register a business in Canada, basically. So the process was fast. You go, you present your document, you register, you pay, and that's it. You have your documents. So it's quite fast. It's quite easy to open a business. Then it was a matter of finding the business idea, establishing myself on a new market, a foreigner that is here who want to do something, you know. And the thing is, in Africa, what I like a lot about Africa is that there are a lot of opportunities over there. If you are smart and if you know how to surround yourself with the right people, this is very important everywhere, but this is even more important in Africa, to surround yourself with the right people. There is no limit to what you can achieve. So basically, when you are an entrepreneur at heart, the process is the same. Wherever you are in the world, I do believe the process is the same, because you got to register a business, you walk on the street, you have an idea, you identify your need, and you build the solution to answer that need. That's it.
Facts. At the end of
Fact.
the day, if you put someone in the jungle, they'll come back with with a cape, with fur on. At the end of the day, if you have to create a business from scratch, an entrepreneur can do it. That's interesting. So what was the business? What did you create? And like, how'd you build it? Because you said you had to network, of course, like crazy in
Yeah.
Senegal. And well, I know I think you mentioned it briefly to us in a past conversation that I think it was in makeup, was it?
So what happened?
It was
Yeah,
necessities.
it's in cosmetics. So what
Necessities.
happened, because I had
Mhm.
packed for 6 weeks, I find myself quickly out of any kind of cosmetic products, right?
Mhm.
And so I was surprised actually when looking for cosmetic products to see how expensive it was. So any products, makeup products, or any kind of cosmetics that we would buy to Sephora, we would buy like 30% more expensive over there. And I was like, okay, it's way too expensive, and I don't want to pay that much money for something that I know the value, right? But then as an entrepreneur, what I saw there is like, okay, but if myself, I face the situation, it means that a lot of young women, a lot of women still from Senegal or from West Africa face the same challenges when it comes to, having access to good quality products at an affordable price. So I was like, you know what, let's start something. So I started, like buying products from different suppliers outside of Africa, and to import these products in Africa. So basically it was an import export business, but I would sell the goods in Senegal.
Amazing. So, was it challenging importing into Senegal? Um, like, how successful did the business get as well? Like, when you were in there, um, getting packages in. Like, could you break it down?
Actually, it was quite simple.
Oh.
Yes, it was quite simple because once again, I surrounded myself with the right people. So I was surrounded by business professionals, business leaders, and people, who were doing business and import export business for years. So they know who is the right person to contact to ensure that your goods don't stay like forever at customs, that you don't have to pay over and over and over so many times, to finally get your goods cleared. So because I knew the right people, the process was quite easy, honestly.
That's amazing. So, when exactly did you like? I know you said you're in survival mode. At what point did you feel like, okay, whew, I can breathe now? Did you reach that moment in Senegal, or was it once you came back? Like, at what moment was your business doing so well to a point where you could actually breathe?
Honestly, this moment took place this morning, and I cried.
Wow.
I'm telling you. I was talking to a business coach, and I was talking, and he was able to feel and to see that I had accumulated so much emotion, so much feeling, so much. I'm just on it. I have reached the point where I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted physically, emotionally, mentally. But because for 1 year, so COVID has impacted all of us. But I was so much into it, into a survival mode. And when you are into this mode, you just like keep going. That's what matters. You want to keep going, building, because you want to get out of the situation. But it took place this morning. So yeah. And I
Wow.
feel good about it, honestly. I'm just now starting to realize how much I have accumulated over the past few months. And I believe that's something that a lot of business leaders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs are going through is that we do ignore the signs that our body are is giving us. You know that you're tired. I had migraines. I couldn't quit. I couldn't get up. You know, leave the bed, but still I would find my way to open the computer and make some, you know, work. And yeah, I was just ignoring the science. And this morning, you know, talking to people, and also as an entrepreneur, oftentimes we are isolated, and the COVID-19, I do believe, has accentuated this isolation for us entrepreneurs. So we are so into it that we don't realize that we need to talk to someone, and that's exactly what happened to me.
Wow.
Wow. It's great. I was just fixing up my audio, Doreen, as you're talking, and I just got back in right now. But that's actually one of the reasons we actually started the podcast, is to highlight the ups and downs, actually highlight the downs of entrepreneurship. I think we get lost in the glitz and glamour of what it's like to be running your own business and looking as if you're successful, that we actually forget to talk about the true things, about the dark side of entrepreneurship. Like, you're not winning every single day.
You
You're not.
don't.
Yeah. It's like out of every win, you've had 99 falls towards getting to that one win. And
Yeah, but you know that one win,
mm-hmm.
I think being an entrepreneur is not about willing, it's about fulfillment. And because if it's not about fulfillment, I think you have to be crazy to be an entrepreneur, because there is nothing glamorous about being an entrepreneur. It's hard every single day. 99% of the time, as you said, it's hard. You are like at the bottom of your life. You sometimes you ask yourself, why am I doing this to myself? But when you have a strong why, and when you are passionate about what you do, then this 1%, this one win is so fulfilling that you just forget about all the rest. At least that's my experience. But it's hard. It's not for everyone.
Yeah,
Not at
it's
all. Not at
definitely not
all.
for everybody.
Yeah. Like I was thinking actually about that. I was I've been in my own world now, and the not peace, but the leniency of knowing that you're gonna get another check, the false reality of thinking you're gonna get another check at the end of the week, is something that can be it's not a crutch, but it's something that can make your life feel a lot more easy, once you realize that that's coming in, and without it, it charges you up like nothing I've ever experienced. But there's a feeling of calm that comes with it that not a lot of people can live without, and I understand it. I now that I've experienced both sides of it, I'm like, I get it. It's a lot harder, but it's just a lot more freeing.
Yeah.
So you really have to be able to balance your emotions throughout it, because you can get a lot of things like imposter syndrome. You can get
You do.
a lot of imposter syndrome, because as an entrepreneur, you have to wear different hats in public.
Yeah.
No one talks about that, the in public part. It's one thing to wear a different hat, in hiding, and I'm just gonna wear something real quick and cook myself your own meal. To cook a meal and present it to the public is different. Like, we're talking with a design company, and we're like, we design things like we're designers every other day, and we haven't got to school for no design ever. So you really have to realize that you're just gonna have to create out of thin air and make it work, and be comfortable in that thin air.
Exactly. But also I think that being able to share publicly what's going on, the good and the bad, that's what helps you stand out from the crowd, and that's what sets you apart. Because I think for the past few years, there was this like crazy imagination, about how being an entrepreneur should look like. All these people like traveling in jet, and like driving Lamborghini, and making like 7-figure like business like per year, like with e-commerce and so on and so on. And some of these people, these stories are true. A lot of them are fake, but we tend to be attracted to what's appealing, to what it's beautiful. So they are selling us dreams, right? But I think one of the positive aspect, if I can say so, of the COVID-19 is that it has made us realize that, okay, like this bullshit, we don't need it anymore. That's okay. Let's ground it up now. Let's ground it up. And it has always been part of my brand and myself as a person to share my ups and downs. That's why my business was working. That's why now that I'm rebuilding my business, from scratch, it's working again. There is no magic formula. I'm just being authentic. And as long as you're authentic, people will appreciate you, people will trust you, and people will do business with you because they can relate to your story and they want to support you.
Yeah, a lot of these the people who paint that false image, the fake gurus online, I saw them a lot during like the e-commerce days when I was building e-commerce businesses. They're like, how to make 100K a month on Shopify, how to do $2 million in revenue in Shopify, but their business is actually to lure in the wannabe entrepreneurs, the people who want to dabble in entrepreneurship, and then they sell them a course on how to replicate that success. And the course is usually like $4,000, $5,000, and you're selling it to like a new entrepreneur who doesn't even understand what entrepreneurship is.
Yeah.
But that's what their business model is to paint the image online of the glitz and glamour, get you in the funnel, then sell you on a course on how to do that. So it's a business of how to teach people how to run a business that is all like placated on this whole fake entrepreneurship lifestyle that it's not even what it is. If you were to ask a true e-commerce or true entrepreneur, hey, how did you become successful? They'll probably say, hey, it took me years and years to really
That's the
do
thing.
this. Yeah.
Exactly. Because probably their e-commerce like is making 100 or like 1,000 or even more $1 million a month in sale. But how did you start it? That's what we want to know. How did you get to that point? Tell us what was the process and not what you're doing now that is generating so much revenue. But then you started like everyone else. And that's where the confusion, and the is about their message is that, okay, you can start and become successful right away, which it doesn't exist. It's not true. Or maybe it is, but for very, very few people on this planet. 99% of us entrepreneurs, we struggle for years before we make it happen.
That's a fact.
That's it. That's a fact. Don't search or spend your money for a magic formula, because there is no magic formula out there.
Please don't ever. I like that.
You know what's hilarious, guys, is like there's also people who they're called the fake guru police on YouTube, and their job is to call out these fake entrepreneurs and people who are tricking people to buy these courses. So it's funny how especially this year, people are just getting called out for stop promoting this glitz and glamour lifestyle that doesn't even exist. And if you're looking to get coaching, don't even bother with these guys. So it's funny how people are policing the industry now of people getting
That's good. I think that's a good thing. We need people like this, especially for the wannabe or the youngest, who are like easily like
lured in
exactly,
manipulated.
Manipulated. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. I completely agree. And I've gone to a few trainings because with me, I have a Facebook ad agency, right? And in that, it's imperative for me to continuously educate myself. So I'm always looking at different courses and different things to do. And I've actually never bought a course. I've only been on YouTube and certified platforms. But what I've done is gone to those trainings. And man, the trainings are always the same type of thing where it's this is not easy. It's not easy. But all you have to do
is this little thing.
It's just this little thing, and that's it. And they use specific language to manipulate people into buying these courses and spending their money on it. And it's an unfortunate thing. There's only a few legit guys out there that are doing well. Like I think Founders is a pretty legit course platform. Masterclass, and on the other end though, there's a lot of rubbish out there. So let's pivot off this. Now that like COVID has forced you to rethink your business, how are you like, approaching it now? Tell us about the new business that you're starting and rebuilding, and where you're going from here.
Yeah, so basically, my business model collapsed. So I came back and needed to build the business from scratch. So that's what I've been doing for the past 2 months. Now, my focus is still the same for the Smart Woman. I'm still creating courses. Now it's online courses, online programs, everything that I do, I'm shifting and online, of course, but I feel much more comfortable now rebuilding the business than when I started 2.5 years ago, because I have learned so much. And I feel kind of, yes, I lost everything. I lost everything, and my revenue went from 100% to zero. But then I have learned so much from it that now I can build the business with a stronger base, right?
Hmm.
So everything that I do now is online, and I really focus on one-on-one coaching for women leaders and providing online programs for group coaching as well. Everything about related to helping women promote themselves effectively and bring themselves effectively. And we have seen it with Jill Biden last week, I believe that she's Dr. Jill Biden, but people were questioning her doctor status. And that's exactly that's my why. That's my why. Because when it comes to women leaders, we will always, oftentimes, society will question her credentials, her capacity to do the job. And so that's why the more I invest in women, the more I support them and help them to build their brand and promote themselves effectively, the more they can build a career and thrive. So that's really the focus of my business right now. And I think now that we all have shifted online, this is now the time to build a leadership brand for everyone. But my focus is women.
And when you're coaching your clients, what is for example, like let's say a woman leader were to come to you, what is a ongoing trend that you're seeing that they're currently struggling with during this time, that you're helping them the best way that you can? What are some common problems that you see women come to you? It might be perhaps their brand, it could be something else, but what are some things you can share with our audience, our female listeners, that you could help them with perhaps in their business and in their day-to-day life that you're noticing with these women leaders?
Yeah, so there is three things like a recurring pattern. First of all is self-confidence,
Mhm.
self-awareness, and strategy around promoting yourself. Everyone needs to promote. Everyone needs self-promotion. We all need to be strategic. We all need to build a professional brand. This is all about building our reputation, right? I like to call it our online currency. But the thing is, for women, it's even more challenging because, when you are a gentleman and you come across as confident, assertive, you use a certain language, you have a certain body language, you come across as confident. Oh, this guy, he knows, you feel it,
Feeling it.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But when a woman may have the same attributes, actually, we will, like, most of the time we will call her like bossy, bitchy, and so on and so on. So what it does create, actually, it holds so many women back because they have achieved so many great things. They have built incredible career. They are like CEOs, senior, like executives of the biggest organizations or smaller organizations, but then they still don't want to put it out there because they fear the backlash. They fear the backlash from the workplace culture. They fear the backlash of the family. They fear the backlash of the society. So my role really is to provide them the tools and the resources to build self-confidence, to build this self-confidence and be aware of the value that they bring to the table. Because once you are fully aware of the value that you bring to the table, then it makes the process easier to put it out there and to showcasing what you have done. But there is a difference between promoting yourself and bragging about yourself, which is another thing that is holding women back. But when you put a plan, a proper plan and a proper strategy in place, it's not about bragging. It's about, sharing insights. It's about providing value to the community. It's about inspiring people and inspiring other women that, okay, if she did it, I can do it too. And a lot of them also, they want to build a legacy. They have sacrificed everything. They have, they have struggled to find the right work-life balance, but still they made it. And now they are like, okay, I have done all of this, but no one know me or no one knows about it. So how can I share with the world everything that I have accomplished and the lesson learned? So this is like something that is so much important.
You mentioned self-confidence, and that's an interesting thing that I want to bring up. Where do you see the drop off with these women? Because to reach the peak of their careers as CEOs in these organizations, I mean, it takes a lot of confidence to get there. It just doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. So
Mm-hmm.
during their path and their trajectory as they're rising in success, where where do they what do they say their drop off in confidence happened, where they became unsure of themselves and their career?
So it depends. So it depends of the woman's experience. I know a lot of women who are very self-confident and who are accomplished leaders, and they have no issue at all, right? There are a lot of them out there. But for the woman that I'm working with, most of the time, it started when they had their first child because they couldn't maybe fully commit to the job because they had other priorities, right? So this is when consciously or unconsciously, the workplace, the environment, the people around them, like make them feel or that, okay, they are not maybe as good as they pretend to be, because getting the job done, or being fully committed, or be going beyond expectation is not something that they could do because they have kids and they have other priorities, which is not true, by the way. You can be a great mom and you can overcommit and like be successful at work. So that's one of the aspects. The other one is they were so caught up into fighting for themselves. They were so like caught up into like proving themselves and working twice harder, that they didn't get the chance to think about, okay, let me take a step back and think about, what am I doing? Is it really what I want to do? Do I feel confident about doing this? Like, how is it working? So when you are so into it, we don't listen anymore to our emotions, to our feelings, right? Because the goal is to get it done and to reach that level and that next level and that next level. So at some point in their life, like everyone else, they will just like realize, okay, hold on, I have built all of this. I was talking to a client of mine 2 days ago, and she was working like 15 years at the highest level. And after 15 years, like working across the US, being at the top level, she realized that her male colleagues were having better benefits and better pay than her.
Wow.
And that's when, it struck her self-confidence. She
Mhm.
was upset, but also she was like, wait a minute, am I doing something wrong? Why is this happening? Why, all my male colleagues are having better benefits and better bonuses and better salary, where when I'm doing the exact same thing, we have the same status, we have the same position, but I'm getting less. So there are a lot of things to take into consideration. It's not one thing or the other, but it can be also the accumulation of different things that at some point will just like be too much to handle, and then will make you question yourself and your capacity to finally make it happen or build a better career for yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I find that, with the women in my life, it's usually around middle management where that starts to happen.
Yeah.
Where they got that one promotion and they're still working hard, and then life starts to get at them, where, like you said, they have that child, or they pursue their masters, or they are aiming for other things, um, along with their career that starts to affect them, or they like take on more as a woman in their like early to mid 30s, even into their 40s sometimes, and that can, I guess, affect their life, and they need sometimes they need a boost to actually come over that hill. And that's where I think you
I'm coming in, yeah.
exactly, and really provide that value for a lot of women. I know Tiffany Dufour also has like a program like that from the crew that I thought was like, wow, this is like a major thing that can impact a ton of women. So I'm curious, so what, like, I guess if you could have a short list of tangible things women can take with them from this podcast, what few things can you give them to take away when it comes to empowering themselves?
First of all, do a SWOT analysis. So usually SWOT analysis are strength, opportunity, weaknesses,
Yeah,
and
threats.
threats for an organization. But I really like to apply it to a person. So what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities to grow? And what are like my weaknesses? Because it all comes back to self-awareness, and it's hard to be confident and to go get it whatever you can achieve when you don't know in the first place what's your strengths and what's your weaknesses. And usually as women, we put a lot on our shoulders, and we don't ask for help or for support because it can be perceived as a weakness. So we tend to put everything in our plate and then we figure it out. But it doesn't have to be this way. When I talk about self-awareness, it's being aware, first of all, of your strengths and your weaknesses, because the key, it comes back also to building a strategy, is to surround yourself with people for whom strengths are your weaknesses. See what I mean? So, for example, I'm very bad at accounting. I'm very bad at a lot of things, and I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I have a lot of them, but there are some that I can work on and improve, and there are some that it would be a waste of time, a complete waste of time. So I will surround myself with people who can just bridge the gap and help me, become even more stronger and more powerful about what I want to achieve. Then once you're able to identify your opportunities for growth, it could be investing in a program, it could be developing a new skill, it could be so many different things. And then the threats, for example, it would be mental health, being overwhelmed, being saturated, being exhausted. So once you are able to do this SWOT of analysis of yourself, then it helps you to prioritize what matters and to focus on your, I like to call it your A task, where your genius zone is, basically what you are good at, what you know is your strength. You focus in so you can grow at a faster pace. And then for the rest, you strategize around it. You build a plan so you know actually when to ask for help, what to ask for, and so on and so on. So that would be the first step. It might sound like, I like to keep it simple. Everything that I usually share is quite simple, but quite effective. And that's what matters, right? So first of all, do a SWOT analysis of yourself. And it can be used like for everyone, not especially for women, but for everyone, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Then start building your reputation. I was listening to Gary Vee's one of his podcasts the other day, and he was saying how much surprised he was that a lot of people hate the term personal branding, because it's like brand bragging and so on, putting yourself up front. But actually, if you think about it, personal branding, it's about building your reputation. And it's very important as a woman to build your professional reputation and to claim your online space. In today's age, if you don't have, if you haven't claimed your online space, you don't exist. If you don't have a personal brand that showcases who you are as a leader, people will question you. Even more now that we don't get to see people in person anymore. So basically, in order to judge yourself to see if you're a good fit for the job, if you're a good fit for my team, if you're a good leader, I will Google you. We do Google people. Everyone will Google each other. When you invited me for the podcast, I Googled you and you Googled me, probably, all right? So if what I see online doesn't match what you told me on the phone or what I saw on your resume or what I've heard about you, it creates a discrepancy, and this discrepancy creates doubt. And when there is doubt, it kills the opportunity. So start building your online reputation, your professional reputation strategically, so you become the go-to person in your industry. And this is even more important for us women, where we know the more we advance in our career, the more we are questioned.
Yeah.
A lot of the women who listen to our podcast are in their, mid to late 20s. And a lot of I can say this because a lot of my female friends, they're in that position where most of them are engaged, and they're also looking to start families as they advance into the next stage of their lives. But then there's also their career driven. Our generation is very career driven.
Yeah.
We really want to make our stance. We really want to make our mark. We're more driven by experiences more than money, more than anything.
The millennials, we are the millennials.
The millennials, exactly. So for those women who are in a dilemma right now, they want to perhaps have their first child, but then they're in the middle of getting that raise or not raise, but promotion. What are some advice you can give them on managing those thoughts they're probably feeling right now, and they're debating, should I wait or should I go for it? This is the prime time of my life right now. How would you advise them to manage this very delicate time in their life?
I would suggest, and that's something that I wish someone had told me when I was in my 25, is that do what's best for you. Deep inside, we have the answer. Deep inside, we know the answer, but we are not used to listen to this inner voice. And so personally, I made the choice to focus during my 20s, to focus on building my career, which allowed me to do so many things and to reach the highest level quickly. But it doesn't mean that, but that was my objective. So what is it that you want to achieve? That's the first question that you should ask yourself. What is it that you want to achieve? And I do believe now, especially that we are working from home, that we're working remotely, I know the challenges that women with kids working from home are facing. And actually there is a leadership crisis right now, because a lot of women are planning to step down from their leadership position because they have to stay home to take care of the kids. Right? But I think it's about finding the right balance for yourself. I don't believe in the work-life balance. What does it mean? Can someone tell me what does it mean, the work-life balance, right? Because for me, it will be something, for you, it will be something else, for another person, it will be something else. But focus on your inner voice, and deep inside, you know the answer. If you think that having a child is what matters the most to you, then there will be so many other business opportunities. That's something I didn't know. Maybe I would have like my first child earlier if I knew that basically there will be business opportunities your entire life. You have options. And that's something that we are not aware of. We have options, and we have the qualifications and the competencies and the experience to choose among the options what we want to do now and what we want to do later. When you do it later, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. It just means that for now you decide to focus on one aspect of your life, and then you can get back to the other aspect at a later time. It doesn't mean that it will be less interesting for you. It doesn't mean that it will be less fulfilling for you. It doesn't mean that you have failed, not at all. I do believe that success lies in the capacity of doing things that are in alignment with what makes you happy.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's such a great point. Like, I don't even know what to say to that.
It's left me thinking too, Alex. Damn.
So, working towards wrapping up, where do you see your business going the next 3 to 5 years?
Uh, how can I say that?
Actually, that might be one side to cut you out. That might be one thing COVID's actually taught us is that 3 to 5 year thing, like,
Anything can
it,
happen.
It don't mean anything.
honestly, as I said, I was like, God damn, like, how can I do that anymore? We can't ask that no more. That
But
question got to
you
be
know what?
retired.
Actually, no. Let me disagree with you because
Okay.
I think COVID-19 has taught us that there is no limit to what we can achieve. There is literally no limit because with doing everything virtually now I get clients from Latin America, from Nigeria, from the US. I'm sitting here in Toronto. This is the beauty of it, honestly. And I think, yes, there are some challenges and we have to be able to readjust ourselves, but this is what life is about. It's all about, evolving and readjusting personally and professionally. And now I do believe that like shifting and transitioning mainly online it allows us to work to be borderless. I don't know if we say it, but I will say it borderless. Like I have clients from Nigeria. Isn't it crazy? I love it. And they're like, oh, I saw you online, and I think I want to know if you can help me and so and so. And they on board with me in my programs. And the same for the ladies in Latin America. One of my clients, she's the regional chief of the DA laundering money. I don't know, something like this. I'm meeting so many incredible women that would never happen if I had stick to like doing in persons or traveling in the US, in Canada, So I think like in 3 to 5 years from now, honestly, I don't know where I see my business. And I don't like to see that far because as an entrepreneur, once again, a lot of things can change within a few weeks, within a few months, and you got to be able to adjust yourself. But yeah, I think the beauty of it is that we are more connected as human beings now more than ever. And I really want to focus my business on this, building relationships and bringing value to people. I really want to bring as much value as I can to people.
Speaking of value, one thing you've been doing is you've been very, very active on LinkedIn with putting on 3 posts a day. Talk about how that's like worked out for you. How the reason you've been increasing the output. What's the strategy behind going hard on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so I will show you a book actually. You probably know it, The TEDx Rule
Grant
by
Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
Yes.
So I would like advise every entrepreneur out there to read this book. You like the guy, you don't like the guy, that's something else. But the book is really good. And basically, it's all about, okay, we all have ambitions. We want to reach like great success. We all want to become millionaire, but we do underestimate the amount of work and actions that it takes.
Mhm.
And that's where more business owners and most businesses fail because they have those great objectives on papers. They have those beautiful business plan, making revenues, sales, and so on and so on. But they oftentimes underestimate the work that is needed behind. And so one of his principles actually is to dominate the market. And what he says, and that I share and I talk a lot about on LinkedIn, is your problem. It's not competencies, is a lack of visibility.
Mm.
And it comes back again, and maybe that's why it resonates so much with me, to claiming your online space and being visible in the online world. Because the more people see you, the more they will see that you are credible. If they see you here and there once in a while, okay, they won't even remember you. But if every day when you turn on your LinkedIn, you see my face, you will remember me.
That's
See
a
what
fact.
I mean?
The rule of seven.
Rule of seven, yeah.
It takes 7 times of someone seeing something for it to get locked in their head, on average. And we've practiced that. Last month we were posting 3 times a day. And our reach got skyrocketed, and our podcast listen skyrocketed that month.
See?
So yeah,
It's a number game. I mean, being in business and being successful in whatever you do, it's a number game. And you don't have to be good at numbers. I'm not, but I understand numbers. So if you want to get, I don't know, 5 leads from, I don't know, LinkedIn, for example, then it means that you need to be in touch or in contact with 10 people if you have a conversion rate of 50%, and then to have, let's say, a clarity call with 10 people, potential clients. It means that your profile has to be visited, I don't know, 1,000 times. So what do you do to get those thousands views? That's a strategy. It's a number game. So basically, the more you post, the more people see you. It's not only about posting, it's also about engaging with people, right? Because posting for posting, it will take you nowhere. But if you take the time to post and to engage with people, first of all, who take the time to leave you a comment, but also to look at them. That's something that I love to do. For every person that leave me a comment, I love to look at their profile and to know, okay, I would ask them the question, oh, I saw that you interacted with my post. Why is that? What's the message that resonates with you? What would you like me to talk about on LinkedIn? I ask the question, right? So I'm building this community where I do believe each one of us has a place to succeed, and the more I provide value, and the more I will be successful too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Engaging is super, super, super powerful. We've actually changed our strategy going forward. We used to post 3 times a day, and what we saw was that the reach was going high, but the engagement was starting to go down. It wasn't by a lot, but it was like a marginal percent. So going forward in this month, we actually switched it a bit. Instead of posting every day, we said, all right, let's post it once a day, but make the engagement higher, and that has skyrocketed the actual content, so right now we're working towards that balance of quantity and engagement. And I feel like that's going to be our formula that's going to, take it to the next level.
And it evolves. Yeah.
Pardon me?
What did you say, Owen?
I was saying each post, we're going for the impact. It's value packed, so it can get the most engagement.
Yeah, but it comes back to the intention. I think doing business with intention, posting with intention, it's what makes the difference, right? Are you posting just to show a picture of you or your business, or are you posting with intention to share something valuable with your community? So that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the actual value that you're getting and the interaction you're having with your audience. Most definitely. Man, it's been a pleasure having you on, honestly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity, for having me.
My pleasure. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
And I'm Darine. Should I say that? And I'm Darine.
Hey, there it is. And that's hustle over everything, y'all. We out.
We out, guys. Peace.
Thank you so much for listening. The conversation continues on our Instagram at 247hustler. We post very frequently. And be sure to check out our merch at hustleovereverything.co. We have some amazing sweaters, hats, mugs, and a lot more. Lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Talk to you next Monday. Peace.